What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zetro's Toxic Vault. And there's a slew of Bay Area musicians that I get to toil and dabble with, and I'm going to bring every one of them into this show. And today, my guest is no different. Innovator in a sound back in the early days, man. From the early thrash metal days, but I think you guys were one of the first to use a DJ, and I'm talking about Mr.
In the
Scott.
world.
That's right, in the world. You guys, I'm talking about Mr. Scott Holderby from Mordred. We've been smoking a little weed, so we're kind of like,
we're already into it. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No, it's good to have you. The viewers, they love They love the Bay Area sound. They love, what we did back in the day and what we're still doing, and we'll get to that. But, they love us to tell, how it was like in them, because people are very, fascinated by the scene that
how we grew up and how this all was sort of born and where
and then that's where I basically want you to start. It's like, were you into hard rock? How did you grow up, and what was the music like for you? Were your parents rockers? How did that work? Because you were in Berkeley, right? You grew up in Berkeley.
Actually, I grew up in Crockett as a real youngster,
really?
right under the C&H sugar sign,
really?
Pretty much, yeah. So that's why I'm so sweet.
That's fine, right there. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, so growing up in Crockett, it was kind of a trip. It was fun. It was like, imagine being 20 years behind whatever time period you were living in. So the 70s was really like the 50s.
We go, when we travel on tour, we say that a lot about other places that as you well know.
Yeah.
You get to some place and you say again,
and they're stuck in time
They're
somewhere.
still listening to Blizzard of Oz. You know what I mean? So we use that references like that. So I can understand
that's
that.
what it was like growing up. It was still like, Dean Martin and Louis Prima and like that kind of Italian music and everything. But, my pops was into the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Sly and the Family Stone.
So into the 60s fusion, that type of stuff.
And Grand Funk Railroad, all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of the first sounds I heard. And, it must have been around 11 or 12.
Which is what year, Scott? Give us I like to do timeline.
80, 81.
80, 81.
When I really started discovering, like, Judas Priest. And, like punk rock.
Right, because punk rock, and especially in San Francisco, the Bay Area, there was a big punk scene on Broadway. We've talked about that. When I had Roddy in, we talked about that.
Some of my earliest shows that I went to were punk shows, and that was definitely a big influence on.
Talk about some of those shows. Tell me which ones you went to. Can you remember?
I know. I was like I saw the Dead Kennedys pretty. When I was pretty young. Fear I saw. Subhuman,
Circle Jerks, Subhuman, sure.
Circle Jerks was
Black Flag. Any of
blew my mind. That was on my birthday. I saw them, and I was at Ruthie's Inn.
Really?
And it blew my mind because I listened to that kind of stuff, right? But I hadn't seen them. I was a little younger than you guys, so I missed out on some of these great early shows. So I was lucky I got to kind of catch the tail end of punk rock.
Well, it's still alive. Just ask Waddy. Punk's not dead, right?
I'm not saying it's dead. But
no, in the heyday, in the golden era.
The golden era, yeah.
I call that the golden era.
Yeah.
When there was the Germs.
Yes.
So many killer Angry Samoans.
All the California bands, and then
Minor Threat, Wasted Youth.
All that stuff.
All that good stuff.
That's all that. I was totally into that stuff. I loved it. And then, coming from Black Sabbath and Judas Priest and all that kind of stuff. And when, my first shows at Ruthie's were probably like 83, 84. And Debbie Abono, remember her?
We talk about Debbie on this show all the time.
Well,
I keep promising to do an episode on Debbie alone because she deserves.
That's worthy because
I know this. You're talking. I tell the viewers all the time.
I mean,
people
Exodus,
don't know
Slayer, and Possessed.
Exodus, Slayer, Possessed, Metallica.
Yeah.
There were so many
Evil,
Forbidden, Violence. I mean, we could go down the list, and everybody who's come on the show, Scotty, that's had anything to do with her has always paid respect. And believe me, we are going to talk about this woman.
Yeah, that's
She
good.
was an amazing woman to our scene. If
Yeah,
anything,
she was-
should be like. I mean, she's probably the godmother of the Bay Area.
Oh, she's
sound.
definitely the godmother of thrash metal, and
Definitely.
hands down for sure.
Now, talk about the first time you went into Ruthie's, because Ruthie's is such a big allure to all of
Yeah.
our fans. I mean, there was the Stone, and there was the Omni, and there was the Keystone. But when you talk thrash metal, the hub was Ruthie's Inn. Talk about the first time going in there.
So check it out. Going to Pinole High School with Debbie's daughters.
Right.
And Gina was going out with Toby Rage at the time, and then Julie was going out with Larry Lalonde.
Larry.
Who was
That's the whole
possessed
reason she
at
did
the
it.
time.
We've talked about that.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the start of like how Debbie kind of got into it. And so Possessed was going, and Blizzard was going, and just like Dublin, Pinole was another thrash metal hub.
Right, exactly.
You know, and we meet up at Ruthie's kind of in the dead
Sure.
center of us. But it was really like, you know, very much similar to out here.
What was your first band? When did you finally join like your first band? Can you remember that?
Okay, so
was it Mordred? Or you obviously had another
so
band.
first shows at Ruthie's were, I think it was around 83, 84, and it was like, you know, Megadeth or Slayer, or it was one like Exodus for a million times.
A million times. Before I was in the band,
yeah.
I would go see them.
I used to go see
every other
Legacy.
week.
I
I
used
think
to go see
Exodus
Legacy.
played every other week.
I had the
They needed
Legacy
the money.
demo 1. And the funny thing is that, you know, just put these on these long ass chrome tapes back in like a 90-minute chrome tape for 4 songs. And so, of course, I taped some other shit on there. It's Bob Marley, Nati, Dread, and Rastaman Vibration.
Uh-huh.
So I got that tape stuck in my dad's pickup truck cassette player for like 2 years. And so every time it'd be like Bob Marley, and then Violence and Terror and Raging Waters.
Yeah, right. Wow. Wow. I'm glad I could terrorize you like that, you know?
No, I love that shit. I always loved, you know, your singing, brother.
So when did you get, when was your first band that you started? Did you start a band? Did you
I would
join
say
some-
the
were you
first
jamming
band
with
was
guys?
Fury when I was about probably 9 years old, 10 years old.
I mean, okay,
And,
I'll jump ahead. Gigging band that you actually played
okay,
a backyard party or
Well, that would be that same band. Backyard Party was the first thing I
really?
did. Yeah, Fury.
Oh my!
Yep.
At 9 years old?
No, I think by the time we played
You
the
were
Backyard,
11.
we were probably like 12
Oh, okay. Well, 12 anyway.
13,
anyway.
you know, I don't know. I got a photo. I don't know.
Amazing.
I look younger than that one over there.
What was your first like Ruthie's band that you like kind of started doing clubs?
Well, Exodus, I think.
No,
was-
I mean that you
Oh,
played in it.
that
you
I first
got
started
to
playing
actually
in?
playing.
That was Mordred, really.
because I remember they had a singer before you, right? That
Yeah.
was, well, I don't remember his name. He was a blonde guy.
His name was Steve.
Steve. That's right.
And I think his Steve Skates was
Steve
his name.
Skates. That's
Yeah.
right. God damn.
And
I guess you would know the history of your own band.
years later, when we were playing at the bottom of the hill, I met Steve, and he's a fucking great guy.
Yeah,
I had only heard just really small amounts of him singing before I got in the group, and I saw them with Death, but I couldn't even
we
really
played
remember.
with Mordred many times
Yeah.
because Alexis
Well,
Olsen was like
Yeah,
friends
Alexis
with all
Olsen
those
was our
guys.
manager and
Right.
was your manager
Yeah,
too before
right.
you left for Exodus.
right, so-
and Pat McKillop was the
Yeah.
fan club guy for
That's
Legacy.
right, for Legacy.
So
and,
that was one of my best friends in
Oh,
Pinole
my.
there. We'd always go to the shows together, you know, and I remember passing out lots of Legacy flyers at different high schools around
huh?
the Bay. Yeah, we'd go see Rob and Mark out at their school in Walnut Creek.
So
or
basically,
Clayton or whatever.
Mordred was Danny and Jim then, right there, pretty much
Well,
their
it was
direction.
it was Alex who started the group,
I do remember Alex.
and then Jim I think was in it, and Art was in it, and then Eric Lannon was a drummer, and is that everybody?
I think at that point it was.
Yeah, Sven was in it too
Sven,
for a minute.
I think for a
Yeah,
minute.
they
right?
they all kind of switched around. I think Keith Chatham was in it for a minute and everything. And that was like 84, 85. And so it was 86 that I got in with Mordred.
And then you
And,
were because I mean then it kind of changed because Gannon came in to play drums too, right?
So like 86, we did a demo. And then probably like maybe 6 months later, we got Gannon as a drummer. And we had another guitar player.
Where'd you guys do the demo at? Do you remember?
It was someplace up on College Avenue. Davey Vane. Remember that dude?
I still see Davey all the time. My guitar player, I have an AC/DC tribute band.
Yeah.
He plays guitar. My guy who plays Malcolm in my band, he plays in Davey's band as his guitar. Oh, Davey still kills it.
That's funny.
Davey
yeah.
still kills it.
Well, we had the
I
connection.
can't wait to get Davey Vane in here. When I can get Davey Vane in the vault, that'll be awesome.
We had the connection because Kat Serdovsky was like renting a room at Danny's dad's place in the Haight. And we saw those Vane guys all the time through there. Danny's dad had a pool table up in there. It was like the swanky bachelor pad. It was sick. But, yeah. So for early days, though, with Mordred, it was like, I think some of our first shows we played with Legacy. Because, again, Alexis Olsen was our manager.
Right. So it made sense back then.
Yeah.
That's what you did back then.
And in fact, I think because of Pat and all that, I met you guys before I even got in Mordred.
Really?
Because that was kind of how I got the vouching to get in it. It was like, everyone's like, I don't know about this guy, Scotty, whatever.
Now,
and they're like, oh, no, he's been a kid around the way for hella years. And, let him give us a try at least.
Were you singing in something before you kind of went in Mordred, other than the Fury, the thing that you were doing?
Oh, yeah. Like,
so you were jamming with people and still playing,
different
right?
guys from Pinole that weren't in Possessed or Primus or whatever, And there was hella musicians there.
Oh God, right. Back in the day, the word is plethora of everything.
I was playing bass and singing and different things, regressive behavior, but it's like I look back and I was such a young kid when I was doing that. It's like
you're still a young kid while you're doing that. Damn it, don't you?
Damn straight,
young kid.
Don't you forget it.
A young kid, this guy.
But it was many years ago, and I am trying to recollect.
We're talking about the '70s, so if anybody has it, '70s were like forever ago, right?
Well,
anyway, but
indeed,
we're still young. We're still playing
Hell
metal
yeah.
bands, and so then you guys started gigging quite heavily.
So we played with Anthrax, and we played
Yeah.
with you guys, and we played with Suicidal, and played with Violence a lot. Just a ton of gigs.
Like, talk about it. Tell
and
everybody they want to know about the scene and what the vibe was like. I mean, and it was so special, don't you think, Scotty?
Oh,
There's
for
nothing
sure.
that touches it now. And
I'm
I think
glad
the only thing
that-
that was close was the Violence show about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That was the closest thing I'd seen to what we grew up in. Every metalhead was there.
Yeah.
Everybody's
And
hanging out in a dingy old club, getting hammered.
That's
you know what I mean?
pretty much
So
it.
It was kind of like brought us all back. It was really cool, but there's
and
nothing like that now,
It's great to see Sean too doing so well.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
what he went through
right,
and everything,
sure.
and how kind of iffy it was, even that
Yeah, but we
he was
pulled that
good.
off, didn't we?
Oh, bro, when we were the only
We
two,
pulled it off, didn't we? It was killer.
like 3 nights before the Sean Killian benefit, all the singers canceled except for Zetro, me, Chuck Billy, and I think that
the
was
professionals.
it. That
the
was
guys
it.
that
And we pulled Dave
we-
Godfrey White in.
Yeah, we
and
pulled him in, and he did good.
We pulled in. We made Will from Death Angel sing a couple of
that's
songs.
right. Will
We're like,
sang
dude,
it.
you've been singing these. You sound
That's
great.
right.
You're up. He's like,
And
what?
he
I'm not a
knows them,
singer.
too.
We're like,
He doesn't
too
care.
bad you're doing
And
it.
you know what? It was all about the vibe there.
It was
that
killer,
night. It had
though.
nothing to do with who was playing what.
Yeah.
But I had so much fun. But wasn't learning Killian shit fucking impossible?
Damn, that dude is
I have a new
lyrical genius.
I have a new affinity for him.
I really didn't
completely.
even understand at the time.
I didn't either.
You
really.
see the greatness of these people around you, but you don't really trip on it because really with our scene back in the day, you didn't look up to people in bands, and you wore your street clothes when you were on the stage. You didn't dress up to play.
No, we didn't change.
And then as soon as you were done playing, you were in the audience, and then there was another band, and you were just the audience.
Yeah, right. There was no ego. There was no level. Everybody.
I think that's something that came from when thrash metal was born. It was sort of punk rock in a lot of its ideals, and slam dancing, which became moshing, was punk rock. And a lot of the sound and a lot of the just the energy and the idealism. There was a certain idealism that you didn't look up to Metallica, even though they were badass and they were doing great. But it's
they
like,
were one of us.
But the whole thing is like, you wanted to smoke a bowl with Cliff Burton. You just be all, hey, Cliff, you want to smoke
That's
a bowl?
my point. They
and
were
he's
one of
all,
us.
fuck yeah.
You'd walk into
And I was a
Ruthie's
little
Inn.
ass kid, and still, it was like everybody was so fucking
Scotty,
cool.
We'd walk into Ruthie's Inn, and you'd be like,
It's a family.
There's Kirk, There's Gary. There's Tom. There's Lars over there. There's Alex.
There's my
Skolnick.
sister-in-law, Michelle.
You know what I mean? There's everybody that's like, there's all your friends just fucking hanging out. So
and we'd be doing this like every night of the week. That was the thing.
Yeah, right. Or at least every single weekend, Friday or Saturday, if not both.
Yeah, but
Everybody
they had
was like
shows
small
during the
fraternity.
week.
Yeah,
the
I
Mab
remember
and shit too.
I remember playing like it was Death Angel, Legacy, and Possessed Tuesday night at Ruthie's, and the show started at 6, so that everybody can get home and go to school. If you don't remember, Andy, which I'll get in the show, Andy Gallion, was in like 6th grade opening for Metallica on the Ride the Lightning thing.
It's funny. He keeps getting younger as the story goes. It's like fishing. Now he was young.
Yeah, he was.
But
he was in 6th grade when the night Death
at
Angel
the
opened
Kabuki?
for the Kabuki.
He was in 6th grade.
He was in 6th grade, and I was making this joke that. Like, I made that joke. It's like the next day in school. Like, Andy.
He walked in with bags under his eyes.
Where's your math homework? Sorry, teach. Had a major gig with Metallica last night. I couldn't do my fucking math homework. So I was making this ongoing joke.
And back in that year, the teacher's all, who?
Yeah, right. But that old teacher now would know who the fuck they are.
Oh, dude, thinking back to those days, it just reminded me. Blind Illusion was a big part of that. They were. Coming from our area, that dude was a monster, and Mig Minor was the drummer, and he was one of my best buddies in school. Drove home with him every day after school. Him and me and Larry and Les, we would sing Pink Floyd The Wall from beginning to end, just like a cappella, just awesome? When we're hanging out, driving.
That's what we were. We were musicians that just loved music. Now talk about signing the first deal and doing the first Mordred record.
Yeah, so first deal, we went down to L.A. and met with this German record label.
Which was?
Noise Records.
Noise.
Karl Walterbach.
Are they still around?
I believe not. That's been sold long ago in my, from what I understand. And I think actually Sony and BMG is now the ownership of all things old of Mordred, or at least some things, Yeah,
we have a couple of those Sony got a couple of those Capitol records that we're trying to yank back on us.
Yeah, let me know how that goes.
Yeah, we're working on that. Believe me, and it's like.
They don't really want to yield on anything.
They don't want to hold you.
Believe me. They want to hold you to your 1987, 88 record deal.
Do you know that it's like...
And you're like, there was no digital... there was nothing like that. The
statute of limitations have run out on all of those contracts, so, you can... There's a Reno. We'll get into that anyway.
Well, I would like to go and seek out Zetro's legal school after this and kind of figure this out. Yeah. I've already met the video producer.
Yeah, hey,
just on the way out of here.
Just come see me.
That's it.
I got a lot of people coming in.
I think it's more of a consulting service now. It's like you kind of pull out what you need.
Zetro's Toxic Consulting Service. Don't forget.
And also major construction too. I ran into you on the construction site.
I try to tell people all the time. I was a carpenter union for 20 years. Union
yes,
strong,
union kids.
Union strong.
Yeah.
You want your ship built right? Union.
For sure.
So
in fact, I ran into you at a union job. I was hella dark. I'm in there like I had a wicked night before, and I'm like,
I'm a doorman. I did commercial doors.
Who walks through the door? He's like, Scotty, and it's hella dark, and I got my little flashlight. I'm like, who is that? He's like, dude, it's Zet. And I was like, holy shit, what are you doing down here?
Because I had my hair all pulled back.
Yeah, and we're all in hard hats and orange vests and shit.
But when I do that, my hair was all slicked back.
Working men, union men. Union men. I was local 16.
Union.
That's
713 Carpenters Union. 713.
But anyway, yeah, so, I spent like a few hours watching you put indoors, and we were hanging out. That was fun.
That was fun.
Jewish Life Center.
Music. Yeah, exactly right. Jewish Life Center.
And just the thoughts of this show were in your mind. Then you're like, I'd like to do a thing where we all talk about the old days in the Bay Area.
Look at this. Fruition. 10 years.
Fuck,
since I've been in Exodus back for 5, and that's when I left the work field because it allowed me to do so. So
yeah, retiring out in 20 years is real nice, kids.
Nice. See, if you try, well, you got to have a rock and roll background or something like that. So talk to us about the first record. Tell us about the recording process. Who'd you guys have come in? Who'd you sign with eventually?
Okay, so we ended up signing with Noise, which was CBS at the time, and we went up to Prairie Sun to record. Well. Yeah, so this was like the chicken ranch is what we called it because it was basically they had horses, they had chickens, and they had a bunch of barns.
Bonded by Blood recorded there, Legacy demo recorded there. Any of the Guitar Whiz,
all the
Shrapnel
Shrapnel
Records
thing.
were all recorded there.
Cacophony was there when we were doing it, which was Marty Friedman and Jason Becker.
What was the Ingwe album? But the Steeler.
Yeah.
Steeler was done there.
Yeah, like
Any
all
of the
the
London
Shrapnel
records were
stuff.
done there. All the Shrapnel. Greg Howe, the other Tony McAlpine.
Yeah,
all
dude.
that shit's recorded.
And you
there.
probably remember because at the Chicken Ranch there was a day of backups, just like what we did
Yes.
recently. And Chuck Billy, Zetro.
That's right.
I can't even remember all the people. I know Andy was there. I know that Andy Gallion. I know that Rob Cavastani was there. We had a gang of people.
And you were trying to recreate that in the studio.
And it was just like a phone call away, having all these people.
It was
just
cool.
Like,
and I was kind of blown because it's like, you know, all of us are older now and there's a lot of other things going on. So to get how you coordinated us all in there on that Sunday to
I
get
called
that done.
on a Thursday
it was
and
like,
everyone
I was
came
like,
through
I
on a
knew
Sunday.
I had to be in on it.
Of a
so.
3-day weekend even.
So, first record, you're in the studio in Prairie Sun. How long was the recording process? Is this now your first time in a studio doing vocals and an actual studio, not demos, not in some guys kind of like, you know.
You know what? I would say this is the first time that I got within 3 inches of a Telefunken or a Neumann mic. And I'll be honest, that changed my life. Not just in that I wanted to record music my whole life, just, you know, dream fruition. I'm on a record label. I've got an album coming out. We're doing these tracks. But the recording bug bit me at that time, too, where I just realized, like, even if I'm not the band that's recording, I want to record the shit. And so from there, we did another record at Fantasy, which was In This Life record.
Okay, now let's talk about what the first record came. You recorded it what year?
I think it was 88.
And then it came out in 88?
Either 88 or 89.
So early 89 then.
Probably.
Okay, how long did you tour for that record at all?
Yeah, that's when we went out with Nuclear Assault. And we did a U.S. tour with
Not a
Nuclear
world
Assault.
tour, though. Just
Not a
US
world tour.
And was
just
it
US
one
tour.
leg of a tour, basically? Because back then you really...
Shit, it was like
you
2
only,
months.
You
So,
only...
I mean,
one leg of 2 months, right. So
Yeah.
you hit everywhere.
Yeah. And it was like the first time that I'd traveled all over the U.S.
Because we had just done...
And what a great group to go out as the first act that you go out with, Nuclear Assault.
We were
Those
just
dudes
with them
were
probably
freaking
right
awesome.
before you. Because in January of 89, we dropped Fabulous Disaster, and we went straight to Europe, and our opening act for us was a band called Drifter, Nuclear Assault, and Exodus.
No shit.
Yeah, and that had to be that in that year, and they are great. John, Danny, Glenn, and Anthony Bramante at that time.
Yeah.
Was the guitar player, the original Nuclear Assault, and so
Right,
great guys.
right.
Really, really loved those guys. I had a great time with them.
Yeah, Danny Loker, we were tight for years. I haven't seen him for years and years, but for years
He still does Brutal Truth.
And the whole, I remember when he started that group.
Yeah.
Shit, I was still talking to him then. But the whole Nuclear Assault, like, road crew became the Mordred road crew. So from that first tour on until, like, much later when we got VJ Benz and we got Takumi, we had these Nuclear Assault guys on tour with us. Like, the sound man was, this guy, Jamie Birkinshaw, was just a maniac, and I absolutely loved him, and I miss him. He's been gone for a while.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, Eddie Shea and Jeff and just this whole gang of people that we kept close to us that really kind of taught us the ropes, even though, you know,
they were the crew, but they let you know how it was done, right?
well, yeah, I mean, you know, we were young at the time, and
Yeah, I
you know,
remember my first tour exactly.
It helped us to not do too much stupid shit, or just the right amount of stupid shit. You know,
we did our share of stupid shit.
I was hearing about the Jamaican mafia thing.
Oh yeah. Then, well, there's a couple of things. No,
That's like decides it's a good idea to rip the fucking sink
yeah,
off.
You know exactly.
Flood the club before they pull the gear off the stage.
Right, yeah, you know, I wasn't thinking. Yeah, I could do a whole episode of the top 500 stupid things that Zet did. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
well, you know, I'm not going to admit to anything right now.
I've been giving
just
you
in
guys
case
all
there's-
my honesty. You know that. I've been telling you how it is.
Yeah.
So then now, were you writing this next record? Like, were you like off the road with Nuclear Assault and going, okay, boom, we're back in the studio because we're rolling now, you know?
Yeah, so our first tour with Nuclear Assault was Without Pause with our DJ. He had played on the record on a few songs, and then we just ran out on tour, and we didn't bring him on that very first tour. So after that first tour, he came with us on, you know, all the tours after that. But we needed to, you know, when we were out on that first leg was Nuclear Assault, and then we did Overkill for like another month
So
or
you
two.
opened for 2 thrash bands, basically.
Yeah, so we played the Astoria
Love the
in
Astoria.
London.
Not there anymore.
I know. And we played like all that was my first taste of England and Europe, and you know, so I got bitten hard by that too, and you know, English Girlfriend, and I ended up
Boy,
like
you really did, didn't
staying.
you?
And you know, it's like coming from being a kid in California and listening to all this British punk rock. You know, 999 and like Anti-Sect
Sure.
and Crass and
Yeah, sure.
Well, this one girl that I was hanging with, her roommate was in Anti-Sect.
Really?
And the bass player dude used to come over all the time, and I was like, holy crap, I can't believe like I was listening to your shit as a like 13-year-old kid, and like now we're drinking a tea, smoking a silk cut with you.
Amazing.
But you know, like metal, like our scene, I wouldn't say metal because thrash is different than metal.